Hey there, it's Caleb at homeschool-curriculum.org. Welcome to the weekly blog, or my attempt to have it as a weekly blog. This week I want to share a little bit of something that's going on in our household. And chances are it's happened in your household or other households that you know too. We had a great summer. It was busy. We were active. We did a lot of day camps, and we had visitors. We took vacations, travel, all of that. And we just kind of put homeschooling to the side. And for me, that's something I really like about it, because with homeschooling, we can be flexible. We have freedom. We can choose the time and the place that we want to get back into more of a routine. However, though, as the beginning of August was coming around, I said, hey, it's time to get into a routine pretty soon. I'm saying to my son, we're going to homeschool soon. I can't wait to get going. My wife and I have been cooking up some great ideas. We have some plans for this year. It's going to be a fantastic year. And we know you're a year older, and you're going to come at this from a place of even more maturity and engagement. And I should have started reading his responses, because they were like so-so. And finally, we got to the Monday of the homeschooling week, and I'm ready to start in. I'm all keyed up. I've been telling him all weekend, Monday's coming, let's do it. I can't wait. And it happened. He said, math is boring. Why do we got to do this? It's this kind of meh reaction to the whole deal. And I said, oh my gosh, here I am. I'm the expert, and this is happening in my own household. It's like when you're coaching a team and your kid doesn't want to play. You're like, wait a second, we need to be on the same team here, bud. But I figure that this happens in just about every homeschooling household, and I wanted to share some of the ways that you could respond to it, and some of the ways I did respond to it, and I'm just kind of take it through my reactions as we went through it. So the first one was, I call this making an adjustment, or maybe my plan B. And making adjustments, like, oh, okay, I get you. Math might be boring. I had some subjects I found were a little boring too. What should we change here? How can we fix this? What could be different? And it might be just tweaking a couple things. Hey, you know what? We're doing worksheets. Worksheets are a drag. Or it could be, hey, you know what? We're doing so much in one shot. Can we just do smaller periods? Can we take breaks? What are some different things? And those adjustments are easy. Or you might consider just chucking math out the window for a bit and say, we'll come back on that. You're doing well enough in that, and we'll just come back to it. So you talk about that, and maybe you'll get the reaction you need, so you make the adjustment you need to make. If that doesn't work, though, you say, well, you say, no, I just don't want to do any of it. Well, then you're making adjustments isn't going to work out so well. So we move on to reasoning, right? And reasoning is like really taking them serious and respecting them, and say, well, these are the reasons that are important to me. I think that we're doing this homeschooling deal because, it's a different education for you. It's going to offer you just a different experience that's just unique to everything. It's really special that, you can do these things. And we need math as something in our future. So we can, be able to either, if it's going to be business, if it's going to be science, if it's going to be engineering, if it's going to be just balancing your checkbook, or if it's going to know what the discount is on the item you want to purchase, you got to need this math, and it's going to be important. And the reasoning could work for you. I didn't get that type of reaction from him. So we moved right along. I said, no, next place I go is a guilt trip. Because if you're not listening to my reasoning and we're not going to make adjustments, I'll tell you what, I've worked so hard, decades, to get to this point where I can provide this type of education for you. And at this point, I don't know if I lost it or not, but I can provide this type of education for you that maybe you could just help me by responding and working through this with me together. We can do this together. If the guilt trip works, it's fantastic. It's probably grudging, and it probably isn't going to work for very long. So you can fast forward, or you can switch right from guilt trip, if you don't like that avenue, and go right into punishment, which I seriously considered. I said, okay, that means that if you're not going to do this stuff, that means no play dates, you're not going to be able to play on the electronics you want to do, we're not going to do any of the fun stuff you want until we get this done. And, the punishment approach could work, but it's really a loser's game, and for me, it takes the respect out of dealing with my child, even if he's not respecting the situation back. The one I like, though, that if you get through, guilt trip's not working, punishment's not working, let's just fall back on, well, we're going to do it because I'm the parent and I say so. right? Because that's the one that we just pull out, and we try never to pull it out of our bag of tricks. But I didn't get there either. But as I thought through some of the reactions, we just do, I'm the parent and I say so. But lastly, though, the reaction that I really considered, and this is what we ended up doing, is really the things that we had asked about when we were their age. We said, hey, why don't you respect me? Why don't you trust me? I'm capable of making good decisions. Why don't you trust my judgment? So I said to him, hey, look, you know what? I'll trust your judgment. We got a couple of options here. And one of them is we can go and do this thing, and we can work through, for all the reasons I mentioned, we've been through reasoning, making adjustments, all those things. We can go and do the homeschooling thing, but that may not be for you. We can go and do the schooling thing, because there's a good school right down the road, and we can put you right into that school, and, it's just a matter of you telling me how you want to do this. Because I know I've got one picture of the school he'd be going to, and I know he's got a different picture of the school he'd be going to. I did have a little bit of gamesmanship going on there, but I let it lie with him. And just a few minutes later, he came and found me and said, all right, Dad, let's do this homeschooling thing. And we started off. The point of the story is I think respecting our kids, really bringing to a point where they start to use their judgment and having to think it through, really builds to a more solid decision in the long run. And from my side, it's an expression I share with my kids all the time, and a couple times on these videos here, it always works out. That's it for this week. This is Caleb at homeschool-curriculum.org. Thanks for tuning in.